So in this video, we are going to learn how to create a Mern Stack login system with Facebook and also normal email address. So we are going to be working with Express.js, MongoDB, and a lot of modules that we will also be integrating our Express.js in order to achieve that. Lastly, we are also going to do this with PassportJS. So this is the official website of PassportJS. So I'm going to be integrating this two-step method with login with Facebook and also login with email address. Actually, the forms you can see here have no functionality, but soon we'll be adding some functions, and we'll make sure that everything runs fine. Actually, also to achieve the one of Facebook, we have to make sure that we are using HTTPS on the development mode. So we have to create a Facebook development account, Facebook developer account. Then I can show you how you can get your keys. Then we can also use that, and that's it. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to head over is to MongoDB. So head over to this website and make sure you sign up. So I'm already signed up. I'm just going to sign in. So I'm just going to put my email address. This my password already there. So I'm signing right now. The next thing is to create a cluster. So this is an already existing cluster, so you can come over to all clusters. Actually, when you open MongoDB and you don't have anything at all, you are going to see a way for you to create a cluster. So I'm going to, these are the clusters I created area, so I'm not going to use this. I'm going to go back. I'm going to create a new cluster. So over here you can see build a new cluster. So I'm going to create a new cluster. So it's selecting a region that is well suitable for me. So depending on where you are browsing it from, so it's going to select a region that is best suited for you. So I'm using the Amazon AWS. So I'm just going to come down here and rename my cluster. So I'm just going to rename this to Passport Login. So that's how you can create your cluster. So any other thing you want to do, you can select the version you need. So this, well, anything you want to do, you can also select the one like over here I'm using free forever, but you can select the one that you can pay for monthly, and I think it's less cheap. So but I'm not going to touch any of this because I'm using free forever. So I just renamed that. I'm going to hit on create a cluster, select a country. Actually I'm not supposed to be receiving this. Maybe it's because I have multiple clusters, so I think I have to get rid of some. So over here I think I need to terminate this, but first I need the name. So never mind that I'm wasting your time, but this is what we must do first. So I don't know why it should work. Facebook passport. So I'm going to terminate this and get it off. So why this is still shutting down the cluster, so that I can be able to have some space to create a free version. Let's head over to developers for Facebook, developers of facebook.com. So I think I'm already in an app I created, so I think I have to create a new app. So in this new app we have to specify the login link that we'll be using. So the login link we'll be using, I think I will use HTTPS. Let me just say passport. Sorry, this is a display name. I didn't actually look at it. Passport login. So this is my email address. So it's going to create the ID, and just going to hit I'm not a robot. So I'm done. Over here you can see I have free apps. So I'm using the Facebook login. So I'm going to set up Facebook login. So in the Facebook login we are going to set up the web. So over here we can now add links. So I think I will have to use actually in our development mode, for us to use this we have to make sure it's HTTPS. So if it's not HTTPS it's not going to work. out again because that's how Facebook did it recently. So HTTPS localhost. So I'm going to use localhost 6000. So I'm going to save this. So I'm going to continue. Next. So don't mind the steps you see above. This is only when we are using a raw HTML pages or JavaScript code. So that's it. So I can come over to settings over here. So when you come over to settings from here, you can see there are two options by the left. We have the basic and advanced. So under the basic here, I think we are in the basic aspect of it. There is nothing much you can see, but there are two things we'll be needing: the ID and also the client secret. Of course, my own, I'm not going to show you my own, but I'm going to show you how you can get that. So you can click on advanced. Over here, down here, you can see a client token. So you can reset whatever you want to reset. Then for the basic, you can click on your basic. Then over here you can get your app secret, and this is your app ID. So once you create a new account and come into your MongoDB, you are going to see create a cluster. So I actually did remove all my clusters. That's why you can see an empty request of me creating a new cluster. So I'm going to click on the build a cluster. So I'm going to select free forever. So like initially it just selected where it should for me. Then I'm going to rename this to same passport login. I like using small caps. So it's going to take some time. So before this get done, head over to Google or just search for download MongoDB Compass. Instead of us to be coming on the web every single time, we can get the MongoDB Compass, have it installed on our system. Then we can use a connection string and connect the app so that we can read our database and the things that we are interacting with on our database. So you can select the version, your platform over here, your computer platform. Then over here I already have it installed, so I'm not going to download it. So this is how it looks like, MongoDB Compass. So I just have to come over here and click on connect. So once this is done, we are going to come back and continue. So we have it done, everything is done creating. So the next thing to do is to come over to database access. We are going to add a user. So I already have an existing user. I think I have to get rid of this. So I'm going to add a new user. So this user, I'm just you don't use your email actually, so you can just add any user. So I'm still going to use my name, just that I wanted to show you how you can do it. So I'm going to click on show password, Mongo12345. So that's how we can use this one. Then I can click on add user. So this is what we'll be using in our connection string. Then we can still come back in our clusters. Then over here we can click on connect. I think there are some things that are still running, so okay, we can click on connect. Then I think it's not done setting up because I should see it. Okay, I think over here, yes, choose a connection method. Then I have a compass. I can click on I have a compass. Then I can copy this, then open my compass. It will automatically detect that. Then over here, as you can see, the username is there. Then I can put in Mongo12345. It's closed. I think why I'm still having is closed is because maybe it's still processing something. So once it's done, we can come back to our compass and get that. So let's try again. So while this is trying to connect, we can now head over to creating our application. So I'm going to open my terminal. I'm using actually Commander. This is an existing running server of what I showed you earlier over here, what we'll be building. So I'm just going to open my terminal. I'm going to hit Ctrl T for new tab. So I'm just going to come out here. So come over here, then I'm going to clear this. I'm going to make a new directory, passport with Facebook. So I'm going to copy this, just type down cd. I'm going to paste that. cd passport. Oh, wow. So we are already in the folder now. So what I'm going to do is to initialize a package.json file. So the login with Facebook version 1, simple Facebook local strategy. I like to use server.js. There's all this. Then I'm going to say Samuel Anthony. So I'm just going to write this MIT, yes. So the next thing is to install all the things that we need. I'm just going to zoom that. Zoom it in a little. So I'm going to install the packages that we need. So the first one is Express.js. The second one is bcrypt for password hash. So we are also going to need some session message to actually use it to catch some error messages in case that we fail to input a username or password. So we are going to be using connect flash. We are going to be using .mv. This .mv is where I'll be putting my API keys, or where I'll be putting my Facebook secret keys, so that it will not be displayed while I am teaching the video. So the next one is we are going to be using the EJS template engine. Then for EJS to work, we have to use the EJS layout. Then we are still going to use the Express session. We are still going to use the Mongoose for MongoDB. Then we are still going to use the passport for Facebook, and also passport local for local strategy. So let me install this for now. So the next one we are going to install is the file system. npm install file system. Then we still need the HTTPS and the nodemon for live reload. So we are ready now to get started. So I'm just going to open my Visual Studio Code over there. So as you can see, these are the packages that we'll be working with, and everything is installed. So let's get started first. Before I start, I would like to create some folders, the folders that we need and the files that we need. So the first file I'm going to create is config.env. That's why we actually install the env package over here. The second one also, I'm still going to create a config folder. So I'm still going to create a file called server.js. Then one of the things also we have to do is to create a folder called certificate inside our config folder, because this place is where we'll be generating a private key so that we can be able to use HTTPS on development mode. So I'm going to bring in what we can use to generate the keys. So over here, I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to open my terminal, then I can come inside the config folder, come inside the cert key. I'm going to paste this and it says something is wrong. Okay, make sure you have open SSL. So it's going to generate the file, and over here I'm in Turkey. I'm going to type down Lefkoşa locality. I'm just going to put anything, let's say still Lefkoşa world skills board. Let me just put any details, then I can now put my name. Of course, you can make this private so that someone cannot get hands on it. So I'm just going to put my email address. So I have created a certificate and a private key, just like the one you can see over here. So I'm going to clear that. I'm going to put the command for you on the description so that you can have access to it. So we are going to be importing Express and all our packages that we installed earlier on our server.js. Let's make sure that we have a connection first before we can move on. So I'm going to bring in Express as the first thing. So require Express. So the second one is .mv .environment. We're going to bring in our passports. Going to bring in our flash. I think I didn't install that, so well, I will actually install it before we continue. So I'm going to bring in the session. I didn't install that also. The mongoose. The HTTPS for development HTTPS. Then the file system. Then the Express.js layout for EJS. So I'm going to require Express EJS layout. So the ones that I did not install, I think the flash, the session, and so I can now install the flash. Also, I think I have the flash installed. I think it's Connect Flash, yeah, not actually just a flash. Yes, I remember. Sorry for that. Yes, the Connect Flash, the session. The session also is Express session. Yes, Express session. And the last one is, I think all these guys, I have them installed. So let me kind of check this again. Express session, yes, I have it. So that's the packages that we installed earlier. So I'm going to initialize our app. So we have to call the method called Express. Then we have to set up our certificate first. So we have the key. So we have to use the file system and read sync. then we have to go to where our keys is located. So our keys is located in the config certificate.key, then privateKey.key. So I'm just going to type this down like this: config certificate, right, / privateKey.key. So the next one is the cert. Let me just do it this way. So I'm just going to type down config certificate certificate.crt. So if we have any errors, it's going to show on our console while we are actually running the programs. So the next thing is to load my env file. So how I'm going to do that is, let me just put a comment here. I'm just going to refer to .env.config. So for the config, we have to specify the path. Then the path is just on the same level. Then we have to specify the file. Then we also have to create some files before we continue. In our config folder, we have to create a file called keys. So this is where we'll be putting in our MongoDB URL link. So for now, I will still come back for that. The next thing is to so let's try to connect our app. But before we do that, we can't just connect it directly. So let's specify some things in our config.env file. So over here, I'm going to create in some files that we, some variables that we need. So the first one is our ports. So I think in the Facebook developer account, I specified port 6000. So I'm using the same ports in the node. Then our node environment is equal to development. Actually, you will know why I did this. Then we can specify our Facebook secret key and also our Facebook client ID. So these ones I'm not going to show you these things again because this is private for me. So I'm just going to grab mine. I'm going to pause the video, grab mine and put it over here. Then you guys can grab yours and put it for your own. Also make sure you have your app ID set. So Facebook app ID. So I'm done putting my own keys over there. So what I'm going to do next is kind of connect this to the internet now. So never mind when I say internet, kind of make our server to start running. So for us to do that, we have to bring in our server ports. Then for our server ports, we have to use this process for us to access everything that we did put in our config.environmental file. So process.environment, we have to make sure is in not in development mode. For now, we have to use the ports. Then if we can find the port, then we can use port 9000. Then we can now connect. So usually the conventional way of doing this is to use the app.listen, but I'm not gonna do this because I want the HTTPS to be available when we are running this on our development mode. But when we deploy this online, then it should automatically switch to the server or the hosting service mode or the production mode. So I'm going to define a let variable called server. Then we have to say if the process .environmental the node environment is strictly equals to development. Then we have to take the server variable that we declared. Then we can now equate it to https.create server. So when we are using the HTTPS, we have to bring in our keys. So as you can remember over here, we have our keys imported. So I'm going to specify key value pairs of key, then also a cert key and also the value of cert. Then we can now pass on our app, else our server, we can now equate it back to the app. So this is how we can tell this to use the HTTP version of this when we are in the development mode, and automatically use the app.listen when we are on the production mode. So I'm going to now come over here and say server.listen. Sorry, I didn't type this correctly. So we have to listen. First we put in our ports, then can now console.log that is connected. Console.log server is running at process.env.node environment mode on port. Then we can now pass our ports. So I think we are done trying to make sure that this can run. So let's try to use our commander to run this. So I think, okay, before we can run this, we have to go over to our package.json and we have to do some configuration. We have to link our app to our server so that the node1 can use the server.js to run this file for us. So we can just, first of all, I can just use the normal node way of running things. I can say node server. So dev node1 server. So let's kind of run this npm run dev. So server is running at development mode on port 6000. So let's open our Firefox. We have to use HTTPS 6000. I don't know why it's restricting me. So the problem I'm facing was actually I'm using port 6000, which my browser is actually rejecting. So I think what solves this was to change this back to 5000. So I changed my port back to 5000 and everything started working properly. So I have to close all this back. So sorry for the delay. So everything is now working perfectly. So the next thing we are going to do is to create some route, but before we do that, I think we should connect to our MongoDB database. So mongodb.com, and can sign in back. So we can now come over here. I think I did try the Compass connection, so let's check whether it worked. Connection to passport shared closed. But let's try to connect this with our Mongo application. So I have to come to connect your application, then I can get this. So once I get that, I have to go to config, and over here I can create a file called keys. So keys.js, then module, just export this. So what I'm exporting is the Mongo URI. I'm going to use the backtip. Then I can come over here and put the password. The password is Mongo 12345. So that solves it for this, for the connection to database. I think over here this is also risky. You can learn how to utilize this config environment. If I were you, that's what I would do, but I just want to do this so that it can be flexible for me while I'm teaching you. So I'm going to bring that, load the database file. So load the database connection. So what I'm going to do is to bring in, sorry, not .mv anymore. So const db. So we have to require a file. So we have keys. Then over here we can just say Mongo URI. Then connect. Of course, we have to do this before we connect so that we can actually know if we have an error. Connect to MongoDB online. My stomach is kind of paining me, sorry. So we have to bring our modules. So modules has a connect, then accept the DB string. Then there are some things that we'll need because MongoDB is actually updated. So I don't, because we'll also be doing some insert and update, so I don't need the new way of doing this find and modify. I don't need it. I have to set it to false. I have to stick to the old way. It still works fine. Use new URL parser. I have to say true. Then the last one is use unified topology. I have to say true. So let's save that and kind of check our console. So as you can see over here, everything is connected and still work fine. So if I were to come here and let's say add a wrong password, so at the long run is going to show us that we have an error. So we have connected our MongoDB. Then we can really check whether we did connect, because it's going to return a promise. Then if that's done, so we have to console.log MongoDB is connected. Then if we have an error, then we have to console.log the error. So let's check. I think we have an error. So it's going to show us the error so that we can actually fix the error. So let's try again. Let me restart this. Since we don't see an error, let's continue. We'll still figure it out. So, but this, the basic convention way of connecting your MongoDB with Mongoose. So I think this is better because using normal MongoDB connection, you can be exposed to. In fact, I really prefer this. So let me not talk too much. So the next thing is to create our routes. So for us to create our routes, we have to come down over here before we connect. I think. In case while you are trying to connect, you saw something like IP address, you can set your current IP address or just set it to 0.0.0.0. Then you can continue with whatsoever you want to continue with. So let's check again. As you can see, MongoDB is connected. So everything about MongoDB works perfectly. I just added another user, then same password, not much thing anymore. So the next thing is to create a route. So for us to create a route, we actually have to come down here. So we can come down over here, then I can specify this to routes. So then we can use app.use. We have to use the slash. So everything slash, we have to redirect it to a folder called router. So I'm going to create a new folder now. Called router file. Okay, is it okay? We already have it created. Okay, let's still work with this, since it's also the same thing we are touching. So right here we have to specify the router folder, then we have to specify the file that we'll be using, then we have to use the /users. So anything /users should go to the router /users. So what's the problem? Requires a middleware. So I think why we're having this problem is basically because of the index.js file not from here anymore. So I'm going to comment this, head over here and try to fix that. We have it. We have the router, of course. So I've figured out the problem. The problem was actually that I didn't use the require. So we have to require the index. Then same thing over here. We have to use the users, but we have to also make sure we specify the require. So that solves it. So let's kind of refresh localhost. So what I was telling you earlier was you can hide your current IP address to solve any issue. So over here I'm going to say localhost 5000. So we're actually using EJS. So there is no default engine showing for the template engine. So I'm going to bring in EJS now. So what I'm going to do is to import our EJS package. So our EJS package is already here, so we don't need that anymore. So I'm just going to come down after the mongoose. I'm just going to comment this, call this EJS. Then I'm going to use the express layout, the express EJS layout I imported earlier. Then I'm going to set the view engine. Then we are going to use the EJS. Of course, if it's handlebars, you can set it to handlebars, but I don't want to use handlebars. So let's kind of refresh. So over here we have our template, and also we have everything working perfectly. When we click on login, it's going to take us to users/login. Of course, we don't have the route currently. Same thing over here is going to take us to users/registers. /register. So that solves it for now. In the second video, we are going to continue by now implementing the Passport local strategy with the normal email address, like the login system and the registration system. Then finally, we can now implement the Facebook login system.